Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the weekly vlog. Last week we were looking at just an introduction, but this week we'll be putting some context with stuff because I'll actually be showing you my books. And great thank you to last week because now the Comic Village Alliance is 53 members strong, which is just going to be great for everyone who wants to promote. Anyway, here are the books. Tasman Rogue, book 1, 2 and 3, Jefferson Pugley's Pyroclastic Hooverjube, and the pilot for the setting. And over here, if I'll just get it slightly in frame, we have the setting, but you're not going to see that until November, because that is the work for the year. Anyway, let's have a flick through some books. Enjoy! So, here's the first book, Tasman Rogue Prologue, which I did about 4.5 years ago. Here you'll see the Tasman Guns emblem, which I want you to be able to recognise, because when you see this, it's to do with me, and it's to do with Tasman Rogue. Anyway, this story starts off quite political, but what it's really about is a female soldier, Isabel Sampson, and her exploits after defecting from the army, after being framed for the murder of a fellow comrade, which is actually murdered by a general, because he tried to murder that general. I probably made a better pitch when I was doing it at the convention, but this will have to do because internets. But yes, it's a fun-filled action-adventure where nothing happens because it's a slice of life, and it's about as mundane as your actual average life, except put in a very, very weird context, the weird context being that of a deserter. Let's have a look at chapter 1. As you can see, the graphics improve slightly, and we get an introduction to the drugs gang, who play a major part later, but I won't spoil anything. And we also start to get a bit more context with other characters, such as the people in the army, who are within the regiment and have a great hatred for our main character because she shot a fellow comrade, but also starting to doubt whether the general is actually telling the truth or not. This is where it gets a little bit more serious, and if we move on to chapter 2, the graphics improve again. I actually love this cover, it's really nice. If you can see, we've got a Billy Elliot reference, we've got a Caramel Dance reference, we've got just general WDF, and we've got a Tunuk Tunuk Tun reference, because I love Tunuk Tunuk Tun. And yes, it becomes a little bit more mundane, one might say, but it also becomes just generally more bizarre. It's packed full of general popular culture references. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I love it, and I'm sure you'll love it too. If we get a bit more context with the drugs gang, and we get a nice scene of a flashback in Afghanistan, which is quite moving. Turned out a lot more intense than I intended it to be. But yes, you can read these online, or you can buy them, please. But yes, these are the Tasman Rogue books. They are, as some of my friends would say, my magnum opus. But I'd just say that they're a nice laugh that I started in college and I've continued to this day. Currently they're on hiatus because of there's a lot more enthusiasm for Jefferson Pugley and the setting, which I'll show you in a second. But Hans, you can see the weekly 4 frames online on the site, and I'll put the link in the description. Anyway, let's move on to the next book. Now we have our second book, Jefferson Pugley's Pyroclastic Hooverjube, which I wrote for the purpose of the October 2011 MCM Expo. Ah, he's a pug. And it's a story of a small pug dog, Jefferson Pugley, and his exploits in helping his geology graduate owner, Alex Turner, to get a study placement in Pompeii, with horrific consequences. It's a black comedy, and it was very well received. It's probably my most popular work. Probably because of the simplicity and probably because of the pug. But in a week or so I'll be starting another Jefferson Pugley story, which is Jefferson Pugley Roller Coaster Extraordinaire, and I hope if you decide to purchase this or read it, you thoroughly enjoy it. I don't think I've had someone who hasn't enjoyed this because of the sick, twisted sense of humour, and I've even been told that I should be on medication because I write terrible, disturbing things like this. Anyway, that is Jefferson Pugley. Remember that face, because you can't forget a pug face. And finally, we have the pilot to the setting being the story of a serial killer who takes one body part from every victim in order to find the human soul. Dark, macabre, morbid. Anyway, this is a pilot that I did originally for a publisher to see if they liked it, but they still haven't got back to me. Sad face. It tells the story 2 weeks before the actual story happens, of a conversation between two friends, Barrett and Chester, after a former comrade of theirs is murdered by this murderer. And it's just a few pages. It's basically just to test out the artwork style. The actual medium this is done in is permanent pen on gloss paper, so it was kind of a risky move to try and do it, but it got me out of the context of using loads and loads of Tipex. But anyway, I would really hope that you enjoy the setting, because though this is only a pilot, the setting makes this look terrible by comparison. And although you've caught very few tiny glimpses of the setting, I'll be setting up a site and you will be able to read that online, and it should be good. Well, I hope you enjoyed those pictures. They're probably not as good as I could do at a convention, because at a convention I have a nice convention-y environment with lots of comic enthusiasts, and I also have a massive bowl of chocolate, which is always good for starting a conversation. This is my tip to you people. Start a conversation with chocolate. Anyway, I am on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, all the links are in the description. You can read Tasman Rogue online, you can read the setting online. Just and Pugly you can't read online at the moment, but there will be a website set up soon. Anyway, have a good one. I hope you enjoy those books, and long live the Comic Village Alliance.